Congrats! Your family has lore. One random click, one dusty box, one DNA kit, and suddenly everyone's just a friend from church. Here are 101 brutally awkward family secrets that got exposed by accident at the worst possible time. 1. A guy bought DNA kits for the whole family thinking it would be a fun Christmas activity. It wasn't. The results proved his dad wasn't his biological father, which was awkward enough. But then, Uncle Dave, Dad's lifelong best friend who'd basically lived on their couch every summer, started sweating profusely. Turns out Mom didn't stray far from the family friend group during that lonely summer of '98. 2. A conservative family bragged for years about their daughter's high-paying job in corporate consulting in the city. They found out the truth when Dad accidentally logged onto an adult live stream site late one night. There she was, earning her holiday bonus live on camera. The family reunion that year was the quietest event in human history. 3. At a very somber funeral, the grieving widow noticed another woman crying a bit too hard in the front row. They compared notes at the wake. Not only did the deceased husband have a second secret family, but he named his kids with the mistress the exact same names as his legitimate kids. That is master-level sociopathy. 4. Grandma claimed she was descended from Russian royalty and made everyone treat her like a queen. After she died, they found her real documents. She was actually a wanted con artist from Ohio named Brenda. The only thing she ruled over was a small empire of stolen costume jewelry and unpaid bingo debts. 5. A husband demanded a paternity test because his twin boys looked nothing alike. The doctor had to sit him down and explain it's rare but real for twins to have different biological fathers. Basically, his wife got pregnant by him and someone else within the same ovulation window. One twin is his, the other is a permanent reminder of the pool boy. 6. While renovating their parents' attic, a guy found a hidden wall safe. He cracked it open expecting gold or bonds. Instead, he found thousands of pages of fan fiction written by his dad. It was mostly erotic stories involving Star Trek characters and a painfully obvious self-insert captain who shared Dad's exact hobbies, haircut, and catchphrases. He can never look at Captain Kirk or a spiral notebook the same way again. 7. A family lived in poverty for years, eating ramen and patching clothes while Dad complained about the economy. When he finally had a stroke, they found his bank statements. He had won $4 million in the lottery a decade ago and just sat on it. He literally let his kids go hungry to die the richest guy in the graveyard. 8. A couple had been happily married for 10 years before they looked into their genealogy. They weren't just distant relatives. They were half-siblings who shared a father that got around a lot in the 70s. The divorce was fast, but explaining to their kids why mommy and daddy are also aunt and uncle was impossible. 9. For 20 years, everyone thought Uncle Steve was a successful architect who designed half the city. When a major project got flagged during an inspection, the truth came out. He never went to college and forged every single license. He wasn't a genius. He was just really good at bluffing contractors, sweet-talking officials, and using Photoshop. 10. A daughter found her mother's old high school journals and started reading them for nostalgia. She stopped when she realized the bad boy her mom was obsessed with was actually the town's most notorious serial killer before he got caught. Her mom wasn't just a fan. She was his alibi for 3 different nights. 11. Grandma sat in a wheelchair for 20 years and made everyone carry her up the porch stairs. During a minor kitchen fire, she panicked and sprinted out the front door faster than her grandson on the track team. She wasn't disabled. She just really enjoyed making people wait on her hand and foot. 12. A strictly religious father forbade his kids from listening to secular music or watching movies. When he died, they found a hidden storage unit. It was filled with thousands of heavy metal records and vintage adult magazines. He wasn't pious. He was hoarding all the fun and sin for himself. 13. The family hosted a foreign exchange student from Italy named Marco, who stayed for 12 years. When immigration finally came knocking, Marco admitted he was actually just a guy from New Jersey named Mike. He faked an accent for over a decade because he really liked the free rent and homemade lasagna. 14. A girl thought her goldfish, Mr. Bubbles, lived for an incredible 15 years. She found a receipt book in her dad's desk detailing the purchase of 42 identical goldfish over that time period. She had been unknowingly mourning a rotating cast of imposters her entire childhood. 15. A wealthy family hired a private investigator to look into their son's new fiancée. The PI didn't find any dirt, but he did find out the fiancée was a paid actress hired by the son to make his ex-girlfriend jealous. The wedding was called off, but the bill for her acting services was astronomical. 16. The family treated a sealed urn on the mantle with holy reverence, believing it contained Great Aunt Edna's ashes. A clumsy cousin knocked it over, revealing it was filled with gray kitty litter and cigarette butts. Grandpa finally confessed he had spilled the real grandma while vacuuming 5 years ago and panicked. 17. A suspicious father demanded a DNA test because his newborn son had bright red hair while everyone else was brunette. He wanted to catch his wife cheating, but the plan backfired. The wife was faithful, but the results proved the dad was actually adopted and his parents never told him. He was the one with the mystery genes. 18. A mom homeschooled her kids to protect them from what she called liberal brainwashing. When the kids finally took a standardized test for college, they failed every single subject. Turns out mom didn't know algebra or history. She just had them watch conspiracy theory videos on the internet for 8 hours a day. 19. Dad traveled for work 2 weeks out of every month, and the family thought he was a hard-working sales rep. He was actually serving a weekend release prison sentence for fraud. He would put on a suit, drive to the jail, change into orange, and come home Sunday night complaining about jet lag. 20. Grandpa claimed he was a top-secret spy during the Cold War and refused to talk about it. After he passed, the government sent a letter clarifying his pension. He was a janitor at a federal building who once mopped the floor near a senator. His classified missions were just cleaning toilets. 21. A woman spent years hating her father for abandoning the family. She found a box of returned letters in the attic while moving. Her mother had intercepted every single letter and child support check the dad sent, just to play the victim. The deadbeat dad had actually been trying to connect for decades. 22. The golden child of the family claimed to be a successful high-fashion model in Europe. His brother found his portfolio online. He was the face of a massive ad campaign for hemorrhoid cream and fungal infection treatments. He wasn't walking runways in Milan, he was the poster boy for itchy problems. 23. A beloved small-town dentist retired after 40 years of drilling teeth. A paperwork issue triggered an investigation, and the town learned the diploma on his wall wasn't what it claimed to be. He'd started as a dental assistant back in the 70s and quietly upgraded the story over time until everyone, including some staff, believed it. The betrayal wasn't just financial, it was emotional. 24. The family gathered for the reading of a wealthy aunt's will, expecting millions. The lawyer played a videotape where the aunt laughed for 5 minutes straight. She had donated every penny to a charity for ugly cats and left each relative a bill for the unpaid funeral costs. 25. Parents spoke a fake language whenever they wanted to discuss adult topics in front of the kids. When the daughter took actual French classes in college, she realized her parents had just been speaking gibberish with a Pepe Le Pew accent. They were just making noises to talk trash about the neighbors. 26. A teenager was showing his dad a funny viral video from the early days of the internet. The dad turned bright red. The video of a guy falling off a roof in a superhero costume was him. He was an internet laughingstock before the term viral even existed. 27. A conservative mother lectured her daughter about the evils of tattoos for years. While trying on swimsuits, the daughter saw a massive tattoo on her mom's lower back. It was the logo of a notorious biker gang she used to ride with in the 80s. Mom was a rebel in disguise. 28. A dad bragged for years about being a black belt in karate and the ultimate protector of the house. When a bat flew into the living room, the truth came out instantly. He screamed louder than the kids and locked himself in the bathroom. His black belt was actually a bathrobe sash he dyed with a marker. 29. A militant vegan family was horrified when the eldest son got sick and confessed to a doctor. He hadn't been sick from the flu. He was going through withdrawal. He had been sneaking out to eat double bacon cheeseburgers every day for 3 years. His body was literally rejecting the sudden return to kale. 30. A dad told everyone he lost his job due to corporate downsizing and became a sympathetic hero. The truth came out when his boss showed up to collect the company car. He was fired for embezzling funds to buy thousands of scratch-off lottery tickets. He gambled away his career on bad math. 31. A dad claimed he had a severe, life-threatening allergy to gluten, garlic, and onions, forcing the whole family to eat bland food for a decade. He was busted when his wife saw him inhaling a large pepperoni pizza behind a dumpster at the mall. He just really hated her cooking. 32. For decades, the family proudly displayed a jagged piece of metal they claimed was shrapnel. Grandpa took in the leg during D-Day. A visiting historian took one look and laughed. It wasn't from a battlefield. It was a rusted bracket from a 1950s tractor. Grandpa wasn't a hero. He was just a bad driver. 33. A guy grew up believing his dad was a hero who saved the town from a flood in the 80s. He found the old newspaper clippings in the basement. His dad didn't stop the flood. He actually caused it by trying to illegally drain his swimming pool into the storm sewer. 34. A mother constantly bragged that her son was a child prodigy who learned to read at age 2. The son found his old medical records. He wasn't reading. He had just memorized the shapes of logos on cereal boxes. He was actually slightly behind the curve, but his mom was a master of spin. 35. The family dog ran away, and the parents miraculously found him the next day. 10 years later, the son realized the new dog had different markings and was a female. The parents had just bought a look-alike at the pound to avoid an awkward conversation about responsibility. 36. For years, a husband told his wife he went to a weekly anger management support group. She was proud of his emotional growth until she found the receipts. He was actually going to a karaoke bar to sing show tunes. He wasn't managing anger. He was perfecting his rendition of Wicked. 37. A wealthy family looked down on everyone else and boasted about their pure lineage. A DNA test revealed that their great-grandfather wasn't a business tycoon. He was the town drunk who swapped places with a rich man during a chaotic train wreck. Their entire dynasty was built on identity theft. 38. A grandmother left a sealed box for her favorite granddaughter to open only on her wedding day. The bride expected heirloom jewelry or cash. Inside was a collection of steamy love letters written to the grandmother by the groom's grandfather. The wedding reception was extremely awkward after that read-aloud session. 39. A guy spent his whole life thinking he had a twin who died at birth, which is why his parents were so protective. He found out the truth at 21. There was no twin. His mom just invented a dead brother to guilt-trip him whenever he wanted to do something dangerous like ride a skateboard. 40. The family prized a signed baseball, allegedly autographed by Babe Ruth. They planned to sell it to pay for college. The appraiser started laughing immediately. The signature was written in a Sharpie, which wasn't invented until decades after Ruth died. Uncle Jerry had forged it with a permanent marker. 41. A mom told her kids she was once a famous pop star in Japan under a stage name. The kids finally found the old VHS tapes. She wasn't a pop star. She was the mascot in a Godzilla suit for a weird game show where contestants threw slime at her. 42. A dad built a high-tech panic room in the basement for the apocalypse. The family thought he was just paranoid until they found the hidden entrance. It wasn't for survival. It was a soundproof man cave with a 60-inch TV where he napped while pretending to check stock supplies. 43. The parents claimed they met in a romantic library meet-cute story. During their 50th anniversary, a drunk aunt grabbed the microphone. She revealed they actually met at a swingers key party in the 70s and only got married because they lost their car keys and got stuck together. 44. Mom locked herself in the bathroom for an hour every night for her complex skincare routine. The kids found a hidden stash of beef jerky and candy bars under the sink. She wasn't exfoliating. She was aggressively snacking in the only room with a lock, so she didn't have to share. 45. A grandfather insisted he was one of the guys who helped design the first lunar lander for NASA. His personnel file surfaced after the funeral. He did work for NASA, but he was the guy in charge of restocking the vending machines in the cafeteria. One small step for snacks indeed. 46. Mom claimed her me time on Tuesday nights was for volunteering at a local soup kitchen. The family showed up to surprise her and found the place closed. She was actually at the local casino playing penny slots and chain smoking. She wasn't a saint. She was a degenerate gambler on a budget. 47. The family panicked when their teenage son went missing for 48 hours and called the police. He wasn't kidnapped. He had handcuffed himself to his own bedpost, trying to practice a magic trick, and was too embarrassed to scream for help until dehydration set in. 48. Mom always said her tattoo was a profound Chinese symbol for courage and inner strength. A waiter at a Chinese restaurant finally worked up the nerve to tell her. The character on her shoulder actually translated to spicy chicken soup. She had been a walking menu item for 20 years. 49. A dad strictly forbid his teenage son from buying a motorcycle, calling them death machines. The son found a photo album of his dad in leather chaps doing wheelies. Dad wasn't worried about safety. He was worried his son would find out he used to be in a midlife crisis biker gang called the Mild Hogs. 50. The family thought their vintage wine cellar was worth a fortune. They invited a sommelier to taste the collection. He took one sip and spit it out. The bottles had been refilled with cheap grape juice and resealed with wax decades ago. Someone had drunk the profits a long time ago. 51. Dad claimed he went on intense, spiritual retreats in the mountains every month to find himself. His son tracked his phone's location for safety. He was actually checking into a Motel 6 2 towns over to eat junk food and watch cartoons in his underwear. He wasn't meditating, he was avoiding responsibilities. 52. For decades, Mom's famous homemade spaghetti sauce was the highlight of Sunday dinner. During a recycling run, her daughter found hundreds of empty jars of the cheapest generic store brand buried in the bin. She had been doctoring dollar store sauce with sugar and oregano for 30 years. 53. A woman showed off her massive diamond engagement ring to everyone, claiming it was a family heirloom worth 50 grand. When she took it for cleaning, the jeweler didn't even use a loupe. It was cubic zirconia from a kiosk in the mall. Her husband had been lying about his net worth since the first date. 54. The parents claimed they met while saving orphans during a mission trip in Africa. Their kid found an old folder while cleaning out the garage, matching court-required traffic school certificates, receipts, and a blurry photo booth strip of them wearing identical name tags. Their romance wasn't built on charity. It was built on mandatory PowerPoints and bad decisions. 55. Dad spent every evening in his study working on his great American novel. The kids finally sneaked in to read a draft. It wasn't a book. He was just arguing with strangers in the comment sections of conspiracy websites. His literary legacy was just thousands of angry tweets about chemtrails. 56. The family looked down on people who didn't go to Ivy League schools. When the son applied to Harvard, the admissions office called. His dad never graduated from there. He had bought a sweatshirt at the gift shop in the 80s and just never corrected anyone who assumed he was an alumni. 57. Grandma always kept one room locked, claiming it was for fragile antiques. When the paramedics had to break the door down, they didn't find vases. The room was filled floor to ceiling with stolen traffic cones and street signs. Grandma was a kleptomaniac with a weird obsession for road safety infrastructure. 58. A husband refused to get a dog, claiming he had a traumatic childhood attack. His wife found his old home videos. There he was, happily frolicking with a pack of golden retrievers. He didn't have trauma. He just didn't want to pick up poop in the backyard and lied to avoid the argument. 59. A mother constantly criticized her daughter for not having natural beauty like her. While looking for insurance papers, the daughter found receipts for a nose job, chin implant, and eyelid surgery from the 90s. Mom's natural beauty was actually financed by a loan shark and a really good plastic surgeon. 60. The son won a major poetry contest and credited his talent to his late father's beautiful journals. A literature professor recognized the lines. The dad had just copied lyrics from niche mid-2000s emo bands into notebooks and dated the entries like they were original poems. The profound family poetry was actually just someone else's chorus. 61. Uncle Rick drove a Porsche and said he was an importer-exporter. He got arrested on the news, but not for smuggling drugs. He was the ringleader of a syndicate that stole high-end cheese from supermarkets. He wasn't a drug lord. He was the Parmesan kingpin of the Midwest. 62. A wife thought her husband's tattoo, Amanda, was for his deceased sister. At a barbecue, his college buddy asked why he still had his ex-girlfriend's name on his arm. He had lied about a dead sibling for 10 years to avoid laser removal costs. That is a dangerous level of cheap. 63. Grandpa won the county fair giant pumpkin contest 3 years in a row. After he died, his neighbors spilled the beans. Grandpa didn't grow them. He drove 2 counties over in the middle of the night, bought the biggest pumpkin from a farm, and transferred it to his patch. 64. A girl bragged that her dad played the saxophone on a famous jazz album. She played the track for a music teacher who burst out laughing. It was a synthesizer preset. Her dad had just pressed one button on a keyboard and claimed he was a jazz legend for 20 years. 65. The family wondered why the shower drain was always clogged despite using drain cleaner. The plumber pulled out a massive clump of hair and toenail clippings. The dad had been cutting his toenails in the shower for years and letting them wash down. The plumber billed them extra for the emotional trauma. 66. At a wedding toast, the father opened a bottle of whiskey he claimed to have saved since the day his son was born. He took a swig and spat it out. His teenage son had drunk it years ago and refilled it with iced tea and soy sauce. The seal was glued back on with model airplane glue. 67. Mom collected donations for a Save the Whales fund for years. The neighbors got suspicious when she bought a new convertible. It turns out the Whales was just the nickname she gave her credit card debt. She had scammed the entire cul-de-sac to pay off her shopping spree. 68. A super fit dad claimed he was 45 and mocked his friends for aging poorly. When he applied for a senior discount at the movies, his kids saw his ID. He was actually 62. He had been lying about his age to his own children just to maintain his ego as the young dad. 69. A stern, serious judge was the pillar of the community. His kids found a box of VHS tapes labeled court evidence. They weren't legal cases. They were recordings of him as a contestant on a dating show in the 80s where he got rejected by 3 women in a row for being too clingy. 70. Every year, Aunt Susan gave everyone hand-knitted sweaters that were itchy and ugly. One year, she forgot to remove the Made in China tag. She had been buying them at a thrift store for $1 and sewing her own labels in. She wasn't crafty, she was just cheap and deceptive. 71. A daughter named Lexus always thought she was named after a luxury car because her dad had high standards. She found his old journals from the 90s. She wasn't named after the car. She was named after a specific dancer at a club he frequented who gave him a discount on buffalo wings. 72. Grandpa claimed his collection of rare coins would pay for everyone's college tuition one day. When the family took the heavy chest to an appraiser, he stopped counting after 5 minutes. They weren't gold doubloons. They were thousands of Chuck E. Cheese tokens from 1994. 73. A mom claimed she was taking night classes to finish her degree, inspiring the whole family. Her husband tracked her car when she forgot to check in. She wasn't at a university, she was in a parking lot LARPing as a wood elf with a foam sword. She was a level 50 wizard, not a student. 74. The family bragged about their purebred poodle that cost $2,000. A veterinarian ran a genetic panel during a checkup. The dog was 0% poodle. It was a creative mix of stray terriers with a perm and a really good grooming job. They paid $2,000 for a haircut. 75. A dad refused to swim in the ocean because of a shark attack survivor story he told for years. During a beach trip, his brother got tipsy and spilled the truth. It wasn't a shark. A crab pinched his toe in shallow water, and he ran out screaming so loud he wet himself. 76. A wealthy aunt always gave exclusive designer perfumes as Christmas gifts. The niece noticed the labels were peeling off. The aunt was buying cheap dollar store body spray and pouring it into empty Chanel bottles she bought on eBay. The family had been smelling like cheap vanilla and lies for a decade. 77. A husband claimed he was a master carpenter who built all the furniture in the house by hand. His wife moved a bookshelf and found an IKEA sticker on the back. He had been buying flat-pack furniture, assembling it secretly in the garage, and staining it to look rustic. 78. The parents strictly forbade alcohol in the house, claiming to be teetotalers. While fixing a plumbing leak behind the bathroom wall, the plumber found a massive stash of empty vodka bottles. They weren't sober. They were just really good at hiding their recycling in the drywall. 79. A guy told his girlfriend he had combat nerves from intense deployments overseas to explain why he was jumpy. She found his employment history. He wasn't a soldier. He was a mall Santa for 3 holiday seasons who got jumpy from kids screaming in his lap, managers yelling about lines, and constant shin kicks. His battlefield stress was retail. 80. A dad refused to let anyone drive his pristine vintage muscle car because it was too powerful for them to handle. A mechanic finally looked under the hood. The car didn't have an engine. It had been a hollow metal shell sitting on block since 1999. 81. A dad claimed the dent in his forehead was from a bar fight protecting a woman's honor. His mother visited and cleared things up over dinner. He got the dent when he was 4 years old because he ran full speed into a parked car while chasing a butterfly. 82. The family thought their dad was a financial genius because he always beat the stock market. After he passed, the executor found his method. He wasn't trading. He had a second mortgage on the house and was using loan money to pay off credit cards to create the illusion of solvency. It was a one-man Ponzi scheme. 83. A woman told her kids she was naturally blonde and forbade them from dyeing their hair. During a hospital stay, she couldn't get to her salon appointments. The roots came in jet black and gray. She had been bleaching her hair every 2 weeks since 1982 to hide her genetics. 84. Uncle Bob claimed he was written out of the will because he was the black sheep rebel of the family. The lawyer revealed the actual clause. He was disinherited because he stole the family's silver, melted it down, and tried to sell the raw metal to a dentist to make fillings. 85. The neighbors envied the couple next door because in 20 years, no one ever heard them fighting. During a block party, the husband spilled the secret. They didn't have a peaceful marriage, they just texted insults to each other while sitting on the same couch to avoid alerting the HOA. 86. A dad boasted about his iron stomach and ability to eat spicy food. His son found a hidden stash of industrial-strength antacids and numbing mouthwash in his truck. He would numb his entire mouth before dinner, just to maintain his macho reputation while destroying his insides. 87. The family displayed a priceless abstract painting in the foyer, claiming it was by a famous local artist. A guest recognized it. It was actually a drop cloth used by house painters that the dad framed as a joke, but then he committed to the lie when people started complimenting it. 88. Mom claimed she had a psychic connection with her children and always knew when they were misbehaving. The kids found baby monitors hidden in the vents of every room. She wasn't clairvoyant. She was running a Soviet-style surveillance state in her own hallway. 89. A husband said his high school nickname was the Hammer because he was tough. His high school yearbook fell off a shelf during cleaning. The caption under his photo listed his nickname as Squeaky because his voice didn't drop until he was 20. The Hammer was entirely self-invented. 90. Grandparents claimed they had a shotgun wedding because of intense passion. The math didn't add up on the birth dates. They actually got married because Grandpa needed to get on Grandma's health insurance plan to pay for a hernia surgery. It wasn't romance. It was medical necessity. 91. Dad wore a black leather eye patch for 20 years, claiming he lost an eye in a fishing hook accident. He got drunk at a wedding and took it off to wink at a bridesmaid. He had 2 perfectly healthy eyes. He just thought the patch made him look mysterious and rugged. 92. The family avoided a specific Italian restaurant for years because Dad claimed he had a blood feud with the owner over honor. The owner eventually told the son the truth. Dad was banned for life because he tried to use a coupon that expired in 1992 and screamed at a waiter. 93. A woman claimed her sudden, incredible weight loss was due to a strict paleo diet and discipline. Her daughter found the medical paperwork in a drawer. She hadn't eaten a caveman diet. She'd had a private bariatric procedure and kept it secret while marketing herself as a pure willpower success story to sell her fitness ebook. 94. Uncle Jim wore leather gloves everywhere, claiming he had a rare sensitivity to UV light. He fell asleep at Thanksgiving and his nephew pulled one off. He had thug life tattooed across his knuckles from a rebellious phase in the 90s. He wasn't sick. He was just regretting his wannabe gangster era. 95. The parents claimed they moved towns abruptly because they wanted better school districts for the kids. The old neighbors told the real story. They moved because Dad accidentally drove his riding lawnmower through the mayor's prize-winning rose garden while drunk. They were fleeing horticultural shame. 96. A mom bragged about her vintage wedding dress being a custom Parisian design worth thousands. The daughter found the original tag inside the hem during alterations. It was a zombie bride Halloween costume she bought on clearance and bleached. The couture gown was literally polyblend trash. 97. Grandpa refused to eat poultry, claiming he made a pact with a bird spirit during the war. The truth was less mystical. He got attacked by a petting zoo turkey in front of his high school crush in 1955 and had held a grudge against the entire species ever since. 98. A dad told his family he was colorblind to get out of matching his clothes or painting the house. He was caught red-handed, literally, sorting M&Ms by color for a snack bowl. He could see colors perfectly. He just had zero fashion sense and was incredibly lazy. 99. The family thought their recurring bad luck and sickness was an ancient curse from a witch their ancestor wronged. A geologist and a home inspector checked their property. It wasn't a curse. The house was built on a slow-moving landslide, and there was a carbon monoxide problem in the home. Once they installed detectors and fixed the issue, the hauntings stopped fast. 100. A husband claimed his monthly checks to Samantha were for a classic car he was restoring in secret storage. The wife tracked down Samantha. It wasn't a mistress or a car. It was a psychic who gave him lucky lottery numbers that never won. He was paying a fortune to lose a fortune. 101. A father insisted for 20 years that he had a vasectomy, so the last 3 kids were medical miracles. His medical file surfaced during a checkup. He chickened out in the waiting room, bought a bag of frozen peas to fake the recovery, and just hoped biology would sort itself out. It didn't. Now cause a family group chat panic. Comment the story number you're 80% sure is hiding in your family. No context, just the number. If you type none, you're 100% the secret. Tap like It's a Locked Diary, and subscribe for more evidence-based chaos.